بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Today we're doing basically learning how to read from scratch. This is the purpose of these videos that I've been doing, and a lot of your feedback has been really good. But today I have a really interesting dude who's a guest, and he's a dude. He's a bro and a young guy, okay? And he's, the type of person that I like. He's a gangster and a killer, right? And I'm talking metaphorically here. But this guy, first he became Muslim a while back, and we met, and then he moved, and he came back. And he's a former professional soccer player from Brazil. All right, he played in Brazil, from New Jersey to Brazil. I mean, New Jersey's always exporting great stuff. So he played in Uruguay for 3 years, Brazil, and now he's learning to read. So we're actually going to start from scratch. And this is the book we're eventually going to go through.
Okay.
But we're going to go through it so slowly, like you don't even know what happens. Okay. All right. So read for us.
It is very it is very important when reciting Quran to remember that these are not the words of a human being. They are the direct words of Allah, in which no created being has any part in its construction. Further, the reciter must know that at the moment of recitation, he must treat it as Allah speaking to him directly. This is called udur.
Okay. Hudur
Udur.
is to recognize that the Quran is not like any other book.
Okay.
And why we started with this lesson, not even a lesson, just like a section, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because manners when reciting the Quran is because when we go into deen with the right manners, physically and of the heart, you get the best result. So we have to go in with that attitude. All right, keep going.
The people of the Quran, they are the people of Allah and His elite.
This is a hadith of the Prophet.
So the first layer of this deep association with the Quran is correct enunciation. Then the correct recitation, then sound understanding, then memorization, then oft recitation.
So this is a hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The people of the Quran, they are the people of Allah and His elite. Ahlul Quran hum ahlullahi wa khassatuh. So we want to ask ourselves, what is our position with Allah? The first thing we ask is, what is our position with the Quran?
Okay.
That's one of the things that we can ask. And so the first thing is this right here. Correct enunciation is called makharij. That's subject. That's a study we're going to study today.
Okay.
Makharij. How to actually pronounce the letters properly.
Okay.
Okay. Then correct recitation, which we could work on this, all summer. Then the sound understanding, right? Remember what we just said? Like you had asked me about something, and I told you, wait, Allah says, Qul huwallahu ahad means Allah cannot have parts.
Yes.
Therefore, anything that would seem to reveal that He has parts must be interpreted differently, right? So that's correct understanding. Then memorization. Do you memorize anything?
A lot of things.
Like memorize Quran.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Like a couple surahs or a good number?
No, just a couple.
A couple, enough to pray with.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're gonna beef that up.
Awesome.
I'm telling you.
I need to beef it up.
I'm telling you, there are a lot of people, they get interested in Islam, and because they don't have a teacher or whatever, they end up really just wasting time. I'll be honest with you. Wasting time in and not studying what's really the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Arabic and Quran, right? Arabic and Quran. Like, how many people love soccer, but they're not doing the right drills?
Yeah.
Like, they're not practicing properly. They're not running. No stamina.
Right.
They're just watching videos and watching TV, right? Wasting their time. Okay, keep going.
Okay. The most direct in reward in the afterlife is memorization, for which one rises a level in the memorizer in paradise for every verse recited. Memorization is categorically superior to recitation in that the memorizer gains the ability to do tilawah at any given moment of the day, except while on janaba.
Now, some people like to italicize that, and I think that's usually the correct thing is to italicize all Arabic words, but sometimes, like tilawa, recitation, janaba, ritual, impurity. And I just didn't italicize these because a lot of times people sort of, the new reader may get confused. Okay. So many different shapes and italics and markers. Yeah. We have to do that later on to describe the letters. But in any event, janaba is ritual impurity, and it results upon. I have a 7-year-old sitting next to me here, so we have to make sure this is Under 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's when there's relations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Even if there's no climax, but there's
Correct.
relations. And the two. Jen, why don't you go upstairs for a second, real quick? Just run upstairs and I'll leave it. I'll come back. It's when if just the penis enters the vagina,
Yeah.
even if there's no climax,
Correct.
you're immediately on janaba. That's it. Or if the sexual fluid comes out of either one.
Okay, correct.
Okay, that's on janaba. You cannot touch the Quran, recite the Quran, do anything with the Quran upon janaba. That's what janaba is.
You have to clean yourself.
Full shower first.
Correct.
Jannah, you can come back.
It's the ablution, right? Ablution.
No, this is a ghusl.
A ghusl, yeah.
Full body.
Blood, yeah.
Jannah, come back. Okay, keep going.
This cannot be said of the one who relies upon the written word and must make wudu to recite.
Okay. So when someone has to hold the Quran, he has to have wudu. Except someone who began his path as a student of knowledge and a student of the Quran, like memorizing the Quran, or a teacher. Then they don't have to have wudu when they hold the Quran. Okay. But otherwise, in order to pick up the Quran, a person has to have wudu. Okay. So the point of memorization is that if you memorize something, you can recite it in the car. You can recite it online in the grocery store before you go to bed. You don't have to sit down and hold the book. That's why memorization is categorically superior to memorization.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It's a recitation. If you want to benefit in Islam, right, then this is the meat and potatoes. Everything else is like chips, Doritos, right? This is learning how to recite and memorizing and being really well versed in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, go.
Okay, so now we're on lesson 2. So definition, origin, founder, ruling, and benefit. So definition, the word tajweed literally...
Yeah, see, you can see here I'm sort of going back and forth. I'm not really decided italicize or not. But anyway, keep going.
The word tajweed literally means enhancement, to make something excellent. Jauda is quality. Tajweed is to make of excellent quality. As a science of the Sharia, tajweed means giving every letter its right in reciting the Quran.
Good. So tajweed.
Tajweed.
Yeah.
Taj.
No, not j.
Taj.
Taj. Yeah, like judge.
Tajweed.
Judge. You know.
Judge. Yeah,
like judge. Judge Judy.
So say it again.
Judge. Tajweed.
Tajweed.
Yeah. Okay. Like you don't say Judge Judy, right?
Yeah, no.
Judge Judy. Tajweed.
Okay.
Okay. So someone, brother, asked me about marijuana.
Yeah.
And I say, look, I don't do weed, but when I do, it's tajweed. Okay. Since everyone's got into marijuana craze these days. Okay. And
there's a lot of people that they really try to make it acceptable too.
I'm telling my position is this.
A lot of Muslims
I've
met a lot of people.
Yeah. My position is this. You don't need to put people behind bars and ruin their lives over this recreational drug.
Correct.
But at the same time, if you make it legal, you open up for corporate money and corporate advertising, and you will just have something you can't ever go back, right? The cat's going to be out of the bag. So my position on legalization of marijuana is I wouldn't legalize it. I would just stop the penalty to this degree. I would just make it a fine.
Correct.
Like let the state make some money, right?
Yeah.
And you give them a ticket that doesn't go on any record. Like I don't get it's not on a record if I don't park properly.
Yeah.
I get a ticket.
Yeah.
The state makes money. It's free. It's a donation. It's free money, right, for the state, right?
That's a pretty good outlook.
Right?
Yeah.
And you catch the guy with possession, fine him.
Yeah.
Make money off of it, right? He'll try to, you don't ruin someone's life. 3 years some people get.
Yeah.
My friend Jamil Sanchez told me that in New Haven, right? I love that brother. He told me that the brothers, the young cats, kid be 14 years old and got with possession. 3 years. What? Or maybe not 14 because that's a minor. Yeah. But like past certain age. 3 years for possession? That's insane. right? So anyway, that's a whole other subject. All right, let's keep going.
All right, so the next one, origin. The origin of this knowledge comes from the angel Jibril, who taught the Prophet,
All right, this little thing here says alayhi salam.
alayhi salam.
Okay, upon him peace. And for the Prophet, this says sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Yeah.
And he's unique, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we say we reserve that prayer only for him, that dua.
So alayhi salam.
And this for everyone else, angels and prophets. And for Sahaba, we say this, radiyallahu an.
Doesn't some other prophets have their own too, though, right?
They have alayhi salam.
Oh, even like even Jesus
Yeah,
and
alayhi salam.
Ibrahim and that.
Now, this is a good point to talk about these because they're all coming in one paragraph, right?
Correct.
So all of these are prayers. And they
Right.
can technically go for anyone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's unique, he is not like any other of the creation. The Ummah basically has agreed to repeat this after his name. And the Quran also tells us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
Sallu alayhi wa sallam taslima. And sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is, no one should imagine, oh, we're praying for him, like he needs our prayers.
Yeah.
No, we benefit from that.
Correct.
We are the beneficiaries of that. That it is Allah Azza wa Jal who has already blessed him and made him a giver of peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah has already blessed him, okay, and made him a source of peace. That's one of the meanings of this phrase, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah has already, and we're asking, may Allah grant him more of that.
Correct.
It's both. It's both about a statement of the past and a prayer of the future. Allah has already made him blessed and a source of peace, and may Allah increase that. And when a Muslim says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah sends 10 mercies upon him. The greatest of stress relief,
Mm-hmm.
this is making salah on the Prophet, peace be upon him. The greatest thing to push away punishment, if you feel, oh my gosh, I committed such a bad sin, I'm afraid something's going to happen. Istighfar. Astaghfirullah.
Astaghfirullah.
Wealth, rizq. You need wealth. Istighfar. Astaghfirullah. But ultimately, to gain serenity is sallallahu
And it's just
alayhi.
to say that.
Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah.
I
Now,
say that usually after the prayer.
yeah, after the prayer.
Okay.
Companions, radiyallahu anhum. Radiyallahu anhu for a man. Radiyallahu anha for a woman. Radiyallahu anhum for plural.
Radiyallahu anhum.
Mm-hmm. And for someone who is alive, anyone alive, rahimahu Allah.
Rahimahullah.
And for anyone already dead that is not a companion, rahimahullah. And whoever was alive, hafidhahullah. May Allah preserve him. All of these are just a different type of prayer for different ranks because we're not all the same rank. Allah Azza wa Jal has chosen prophets, okay, angels, companions, okay, and then the dead, non-companions, we say rahimahullah.
Rahimahullah.
And sometimes if they're from the first 3 generations, you can say radiallahu anhu, there's no problem there. And then lastly, the living people, we say about them, hafidhahullah, may Allah preserve him, protect him. All right, now, whenever we study science, we look at the definition, the origin, and next, the founder, wadi'. Who is the wadi' or the founder of this subject? Iqra, read.
One of the first scholars to write about this was Abu Ubaid al-Qasim bi Salam.
Okay, this B here means Ibn.
That's
Son
Ibn.
of.
Okay.
What's your dad's name?
Wilson.
So you're Willem Ibn Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay. Abu Ubaid al-Qasim ibn Salam. Okay. Abu Ubaid al-Qasim ibn Salam. Now, that's the founder. What does it mean he's the founder? He's the first person to take this and give it names. Give the rules names and put it on paper and make it a science. Okay, so you play soccer, right?
Yeah.
Now, you had previously natural players. They just play naturally.
Yeah.
And there were no names for the types of things that they used to do. Then someone comes along and says, okay, well, when a player turns his back, flips to the goal, and the ball's in front of him, and he chips on his back and he kicks it in, we'll call that the bicycle kick.
Yeah.
Right? And then he'll show pictures of it, and this is how it's done. Right?
And that's what he.
So he's made a reality into a science. And this is what he did. He made the reality of reciting Quran with these rules into a science. Okay? And he named all the rules and all the enunciations and all the methods, etc. And he put it on paper. All right, next, the ruling.
Knowledge of the actual tajweed. Tajweed
Good.
rules is a fard kifaya.
Fard kifaya means a obligation on the community, which means if one person in the community has it, then none of us has to worry about it.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the rules themselves. To know how to recite the Quran with tajweed is a fard ayn for Surah Al-Fatiha that we're going to pray with. But to actually know the rules, this is med lazim, this is med lean, this is idgham, iqlab, ikhfa, which you're going to learn all this, right? To know the textual rules, the names, is fard kifayah. Keep going.
Meaning that at least one person in every community must know it. However, in terms of recitation, it is an individual obligation, fard ayn, for every Muslims to recite Surah Al-Fatiha.
All right, so this should be for every Muslim to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Keep going.
With correct tajweed.
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 Good. Okay.
They do not need to know the terms assigned to the rules.
All right, so every Muslim has to know Surah Al-Fatiha.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the opener, which they pray 17 times a day with correct tajweed. They don't have to know the rules, like the name of the rule.
Yeah.
Right? The name of the rule they don't have to know, but the essence of it, how they recite it, must be in accordance to the rule. And lastly, read me this.
Benefit. The fruit of this knowledge is to protect the tongue from errors in reciting the book. This is one of the first sciences the students of sacred knowledge learn.
Lesson 3, the isti'adha, seeking refuge, and the basmala. This word here, isti'adha, stands for the phrase A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And basmala is a word that means saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim written somewhere,
In the name of Allah.
yeah, that phrase is called the basmala.
The basmala.
And when you see the phrase I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil, shaitan, that phrase is called the isti'adha or al-isti'adha, which means the seeking of refuge.
Okay.
All right, read.
Seeking refuge is by saying A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim.
All right, let's pronounce it properly now. A'udhu.
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 Good. Billahi.
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 Good. Min.
Min.
Ash-shaytan.
Al-shaitan.
No, not al. Ash-shaytan.
Oh, it's
Ash-shaytan.
As-shaitan.
Now you're going to learn later on that there are sometimes the lam goes into the next letter.
Okay.
Okay. That whole thing is called the sun letters and the moon letters.
Okay.
So ash-shaytan.
As-shaitan.
Ar-rajim.
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 Good. You know that sometimes tajweed teachers are tough.
Yeah.
They are like drill sergeants, and a lot of times students
That's
get
good,
annoyed in
No, that's
tajweed
good.
class. Right? It's very common that a student you'll see in a tajweed circle
Yeah.
a student march off. Oh, he's so frustrated with the teacher, keeps telling him to make a correction, and he doesn't know what he's doing wrong. Okay, keep going.
We call this the isti'adha.
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 Oh, isti'adha.
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 You got to get that ayn.
Ain.
Isti'adha.
Aye.
Isti'adha. So you lived in Uruguay playing soccer, semi-pro for 3 years, and then pro for 1 year in Brazil.
Yeah.
Neither of these languages have ayn.
Nope.
All right, well, you're going to have to learn.
I got it.
Okay. Isti'adha.
Isti'adha.
Okay, keep going.
If the leader is reading silently, he seeks refuge silently. If he is reciting aloud, he should recite it aloud. If reciting in a group where everyone takes turns, then only the first person needs to say it. There is no need to say it again if the recitation is broken up by sneezing, coughing, or discussing the recitation. However, if it is broken up by a regular conversation, then it needs to be repeated before beginning again.
All right, so when you're reciting Quran
Mm-hmm.
and you break up the recitation by anything like sneezing, coughing, or discussing the recitation,
Yeah.
you don't have to start over with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You simply keep going. However, if you break it up with a mundane conversation, then before you go back, you repeat the statement A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And we say this because the Quran itself tells us, okay, if you recite the word of Allah, right, if you recite the Quran, فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Every time you begin reciting Quran, you begin by saying the phrase أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay, so that's why we say that. Say it again. أعوذ.
A'udhu.
أعوذ.
أعوذ.
Good. Keep going now.
The basmala.
Basmala.
The basmala.
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 Close. Basmala.
Basmala.
Good.
Okay, the basmala is to say at least Bismillah.
So the phrase Basmala means that you say at least Bismillah in the name of Allah. For example, before eating, right? We say Bismillah. Many people say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The minimum that is allowed to say is Bismillah. Okay? Keep going.
But for the Quran, it is to include Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim.
Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim.
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 Good.
Right?
Ha, ha.
Ha.
Now this one is in the throat. Ha.
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 Yeah, ha is the light one. Ha. This is ha.
Ha.
Good.
Ar-Rahim.
Good. Keep going.
It is necessary to recite it before every surah except Surah Al-Tawbah,
Yeah.
also known as Surah Bar.
Bara'a. This is for some
Bara'a.
reason the PDF didn't print these out. I don't know what's going on here, but forget about that. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim begins before every surah as a break. They put it as a break, the sign that this is the next surah. Only one surah does not begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the Quran, and that's Surah At-Tawbah, also known as Surah Bara'a. Reason being is that it's about war. So Allah did not. So the people who those who wrote the book.
Is that more towards
No,
the end?
in the middle.
middle.
In the top, right? It's one of the big surahs, and it's about war.
Uh-huh.
So they didn't put in the name of Allah the merciful, the compassionate, because it's about war, right? Okay, but those Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that they're not part of the surah. They're just a break almost. Okay, keep going.
One can recite the Isti'adha.
Isti'adha.
Oh, Isti'adha.
Good.
The Basmala.
Basmala.
Basmala. And the Surah. In the Surah in one breath, or separate them by stopping in between each.
Okay, so you say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, قل هو الله أحد. So you stop between each. Or, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, قل هو الله أحد. Like that. Keep going.
Between surahs, we recite the Basmala. We can connect the end of
Cannot connect.
Oh, we can.
We can connect, yeah.
We can connect the end of the surah, the Basmala, and the next surah.
That's what I just said, right? Connect all of them.
Mm-hmm. Or one can stop after the surah. Then begin with the Basmala and the next surah.
Okay, so you could say قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق. So I connected between the last surah, the Basmala, and the next surah. You could do that, no problem.
Or one can stop after the end of the surah and then stop again after the Basmala, then start the new surah. However, one cannot connect the end of the surah with the Basmala, then stop before beginning the next surah.
Yeah, so no one should say وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. Pause. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. So you have your end of surah, Basmala, and then you stop. No, you can't do that. You gotta recite either all three or break between each.
Okay.
All right, and these are just technicalities. Not like you'll be sinful if you mess this up, so don't worry about that. But just to show you how it's done. All right, section 2, lesson 4. Makharijul huruf. How much memory do you have of the letters? Like, for example, what's this letter right here?
Oh no, yeah.
See that beauty right there? What is it? That's meme.
Meme.
Kha.
Ha.
Kha.
Ha.
Alif.
Alif.
Ra.
Ra.
Jim.
Jim.
Makharij.
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 Today's homework for you is the jim.
The jim.
J.
J.
All right?
Got it.
Makharij.
Makharij.
Al-huruf.
Al-huruf.
Alif. Lam. Ha. Ra. Waw. Fa. Okay. When you go home, well, you got work. What time do you go to work?
2:50, 3 o'clock. No,
Okay.
3 o'clock.
So, and then how long's your shift?
Till 9:30.
Okay, so at some point, you go to Safina-online.teachable and watch the videos about the letters that I did. All right. Makharijul huruf. This means where the letter sounds come from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right, go.
The kitab is made up of surahs and surahs of ayahs.
So this is just a rough draft, this whole thing. That's why you have some spelling errors, something italic, sometimes not. I mean, it's just a rough draft. All right, keep going.
And ayahs of kalima.
Kalimats. Words.
And kalimats of huruf.
All right, so kitab.
Kitab.
Book. Surah.
Chapter.
Ayah.
The ayah.
Ayah. And ayahs of kalimat.
Kalimat.
Words.
Mm-hmm.
And ayah is a verse. Verses are made of words. And kalimats are made of huruf.
Huruf.
Good. Thus, the starting point of tajweed is pronouncing the letters properly.
Okay.
So, makharij is the beginning. If someone gets makharij wrong, then they're going to be reciting wrong.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Number one.
This
is alif.
The alif.
Alif. Good.
The alif is pronounced like dad in most cases, but in some cases like father, there is no third pronunciation. In a later lesson, we will explain when it is pronounced in which way.
So alif can be pronounced a or ah, like dad or father.
Okay.
So sometimes it's a, right? And sometimes it's ah, like ar-Rahman, right? Yeah. For example, Allah. You don't say Allah, right?
Yeah.
Allah. Okay. And then you have.
But usually it has the accent, right, over Allah to make it.
Yes.
Dagger. So that you know.
Correct. That's the dagger. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's a or ah, and we'll study later on which is which.
Mm-hmm.